long, no more than 30 seconds maximum. So big up to everyone. Before we get into today's show, yeah, I see a lot of you talking about Takeoff. Obviously, I'm a big hip-hop fan. Terrible news yesterday, and I mean, it just... I think the sad thing is, it doesn't even surprise you anymore. In America, with these rappers, you know, being shot, being targeted, and it's difficult. I don't even know what to say about it. It's sad news. You know, these people get themselves in these great situations in their career, and you know, the more successful you are, the more of a target you are. So yeah, terrible news that. I'm a big Migos fan as well, so yeah, that's really sad, man. Big up Hen and Goon, I hope you're well. Before we start today's show, before we get into it, I've got to talk about this fraud. I'm sorry, but I have to talk about this fraud. I'm quite thankful, actually, that I didn't do the watch-along last night, because I'm not sure how I would have reacted to this. I mean... the big dopey doorman decided to miss a header from what? He's inside the 6-yard box, unmarked, and he decides to head it wide. I mean, I couldn't stand Kolasinac when he played for Arsenal, but at least when we got rid of him, I thought, you know what? That chapter is over. At least we ain't got to deal with, you know, Kolasinac anymore. And he does this last night. They dominated the game. Alexis Sanchez looked brilliant up front, to say he's about 33 and not a natural striker. And then this fraud does this. 5 yards out, unmarked, heads it wide. Thank you very much, you big fraud. And Tottenham go on and win the game, so fair play, because I was saying a few things on social media. And Tottenham won the game. Fair play to them, because, you know, Marseille dominated and should have beaten. Literally harder to miss. I don't know how he heads it wide. But he decided to come back and haunt us one more time. So the big fraudulent security guard, top flight security of the world, Craig, not just the city, the world. Part-time footballer, full-time bodyguard. Just go and look after Mesut Ozil. Stop playing football. You're a big fraud, mate. So yeah, sorry to bring that up, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. Said Kolasinac, 5 yards out, heads it wide. You know, I'd have scored that with my eyes closed. Eddie would have scored that. So yeah, they won the group, which means they were going into the Europa League at half-time, which meant we could have played them. Obviously, Barcelona, last night, their fate was already confirmed the week before. Barcelona are coming to the Europa League. Ajax are also in the Europa League. Atletico Madrid missed out completely. They're out of Europe. Bayer Leverkusen are coming in, and Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, tonight we'll find out regarding the other groups, who else drops in. Juventus are likely to drop in as well. Listen, I thought Alexis was still balling yesterday, to be fair. He was one of their best players. And he's fairly old now, and he's not a natural striker, but I thought he was quality. Marseille parked the bus at 1-1. Should have been a WWE performer. I'm telling you, man, Kolasinac, big fraud. Anyway, people... now listen, I was watching the game because obviously if they lost, they could have come into the Europa League, which meant we could have played against them. So, and obviously we had a big Arsenal connection in that game. I actually thought Nuno Tavares played all right yesterday. He spent most of the game attacking. Obviously he played wing back, put some good crosses in, looked dangerous. I do think his time at Arsenal is, you know, it's probably coming to an end, to be honest, because I don't think with Zinchenko, with Kieran Tierney, with the fact that that Tomiyasu's been playing left back as well, I wouldn't expect Nuno Tavares to come back and be an Arsenal player. He plays every week. He plays every week for Marseille, and yeah, I think he will. I think he'll sign a permanent deal for them in the summer, to be honest. Hopefully we get decent dough for it. Yeah, Guendouzi wasn't great. He is, you know, moving a bit like Sambi Lokonga, to be fair. So maybe we made the right choice, but I didn't think he was great. He got on the ball, he didn't really make much happen. Yeah, his shooting is still wild, Tavares, to be fair. Nimbo said Liverpool look world-class in the Champions League, poor in the EPL. listen, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool went far in the Champions League, potentially even got to a final, maybe even won it. Because they're a different team over two legs, especially when they come back to Anfield. So, anyway, let's move on. Let's get into today's show. Let's, start breaking down the stuff. Let's forget about Kolasinac, the big fraud, and let's start talking about Arsenal. And there's only one place to start, people. I've got paperwork. I've got paperwork here ready. I've got notes written down. I will do my best to convince people Wilfried Zaha to the carpet needs to happen. Apparently, according to reports, Wilfried Zaha has rejected the latest contract offer from Crystal Palace and looks as if he is set to leave. Now, we've had this conversation time and time again. Daily Wilfried Zaha. But I think he needs to come to the carpet, people, and I'll tell you why. And we're going to talk about the story and the ins and outs of this. So, coming out of the Telegraph today, there is a report saying Arsenal transfer target Wilfried Zaha is yet to agree on a new deal with Crystal Palace and could leave in January. Zaha is set to be out of contract at the end of the season, meaning he can sign a pre-contract agreement with a European club in January. Now, the story goes on to say that Palace would want between 20 and 25 million for him in January with 6 months left on his deal. But they would rather sell him than let him run down his contract. Now, we're going to have a discussion. I'll probably put another poll up as well, and we can have a talk about it all and see what you think about it. There are pluses and minuses of this deal. I think that the negative side of this deal, number one, he would want a hefty wage. I think number two, would he be prepared to potentially have to rotate? What would he be like if he wasn't starting every week? Is he going to have a good attitude? He's somebody that wants to play football. Could Mikel Arteta manage somebody like Wilfried Zaha? And thirdly, obviously, he's 29, which I don't think is a real problem. I've got no problem with Arsenal spending money on a 29-year-old, especially if you can potentially get him for 20 to 25 million pounds. Let's look at the positives of the deal. Quite simply, he's in the best form of his career. He scored 14 goals last season in the Premier League, more than any of the wingers at Arsenal, playing for a team that aren't as good. He's already got 5 goals and 1 assist in 11 games this season, 6 goal contributions in the Premier League for Palace already. I just think for £25 million, it's a no-brainer. He's 29, he's an Arsenal fan. You give him, a 3-year contract, takes him up to, 32 years of age. It's a no-brainer. We should have signed him instead of Pepe. He was the better winger. We wanted him instead of Pepe. We only signed him because there was a payment plan that was acceptable. Klarna business on Pepe. Listen, some people saying he's a left winger and a striker. Where's he going to play? That's what you need. You need competition. Let's look at Manchester United as an example. They can play Rashford. They can play Sancho on the left. They can play Ronaldo. They can play Martial. They can play Alanga, or they can play Sancho on the right. They've got Anthony as well. Bags of competition. You need competition. We can't just be saying, right, left wing, Martinelli, no competition, that's yours. Saka on the right, no one else. Jesus through the middle, no one else. Ultimately, tired legs, lack of form, fatigue, injuries, suspensions. You want like for like. You want a player to come in that's going to be at a similar level. Also, we have a fairly inexperienced front three in the sense that even though Jesus is 25, hasn't often been a main starter for Manchester City, so hasn't played a huge amount of football in terms of starting. Saka and Martinelli are young, Smith-Rowe's young. I think it helps to have a more experienced player in there as well, especially if we're moving forward into the Champions League. Ocean said, Curtis, is United the best example? United probably wasn't the best, but look at Chelsea. Chelsea have got Aubameyang, Havertz through the middle. They've got Pulisic, Ziyech on the right. On the left, they've got Sterling. I'm sure they've got other. They've got each position. There are players there. going to be ferocious. That is going to be absolutely ferocious. He can play up front. He's played up front a number of times. Again, another reason why for me it's a no-brainer of a signing, because it gives you two options. Number one, you can either play Zaha up front instead of Jesus, or the second one, you could move Martinelli to the striker position. Because you look at that goal that he scored at the weekend and that movement across the front post, I think there could be a strike in Gabriel Martinelli long term. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. 25 million, Premier League proven. He hits the ground running on day one. It's not like signing Mudryk or signing Danilo from Brazil. Don't speak the language, never played in the division, young player, doesn't know what the Premier League is like. He's been in the Prem his whole career. He lives in England. He's an Arsenal fan. He can have a point to prove. He hasn't played in Europe since he was at Manchester United, which was a decade ago. I think he would be an unbelievable signing for our front line. I've said many times, I think we've got one of the most difficult front three. In fact, I would go as far as to say, I think we've got the most difficult front three in the Premier League to play against at the moment. That doesn't mean it's the best. I think it's the most lively, the most difficult. City is kind of built around what Haaland do. I think the energy, movement, and interchange. I think
Go eat, eat. I'm coming, babe. I just gotta turn on the stream. Just start eating, babe.